Did the dollar bubble just burst? Not a crack, not a leak, a full-blown monetary detonation. While countries are dumping treasuries, selling oil and Bitcoin, and hoarding gold like it's 1933, China's betting everything on shiny yellow rocks, and the US is signaling it might flip its gold reserves into Bitcoin. A monetary rug pull for the ages. Yeah, this is not your average macro week. Welcome back. I'm Rustin, and this is Bretton Woods Revisited, the monetary reset. Let's get into it. Send it!
How are you thinking about Bitcoin relative to gold in this particular moment?
Yeah, I think that's what everyone's really talking about right now. Bitcoin is down about 10% to start the year. Gold's up 20%. But if you look out over 1 year, they're both up about 35%. So it's pretty interesting that there's been this divergence. But if you go back and you take a look, you can actually see that gold usually leads these rallies. Okay. And nobody really knows why that happens. My kind of guess would be that a lot of the central banks and institutional investors, they're either not approved to buy Bitcoin or they're not used to running to Bitcoin in these moments of kind of geopolitical uncertainty. What we do see, though, is when gold runs about 100 days later or so, Bitcoin not only catches up, it usually runs much harder. And so you get that kind of higher volatility.
So here's what the mainstream won't tell you. The entire global economy has been built on a debt-soaked illusion. And that illusion is starting to break. The dollar bubble will burst and bring chaos. And that's not some TikTok doom bro. That's Russia's deputy chairman of the Security Council saying the dollar is going to explode. And he called his shot in 2024. And it appears to be coming to fruition. Check this out. The market is reassessing the structural attractiveness of the dollar as the world's global reserve currency and is undergoing a process of rapid de-dollarization. George Saravellos of Deutsche Bank. Are you hearing this? The banks are finally admitting what Bitcoiners have been screaming since like 2009. The dollar is toast and all fiat currencies will return to their intrinsic value of...
Now, okay, here's a $10 bill. This is garbage. This is garbage. Your people in South Africa, you have your rand, right? That's going to zero. That's going to zero. This is going to zero too. Euros are going to zero. The yen's going to zero. The Chinese currency is going to zero. It's all going to zero against Bitcoin. If you don't understand that yet, you're going to be impoverished. You're going to be on the street. You're going to be begging. You're going to be out of business. You're going to be toast.
Max, do you know that it's a criminal offense to tear up?
Do you know that with the Bitcoin I have, I can buy any freaking senator or congressman I want? I make the laws. He who has the Bitcoin makes the laws, Rand. We're not going to just sit around and let the goddamn congressman tell us what to do. We've got the capital. We make the laws. We've got the Bitcoin. They don't. We got it. They don't. Do you understand?
Thanks, Max. And here's the breakdown. The U.S. debt is over $100 trillion. Check out unfunded liabilities column. Yeah, should be fine. Savings rates, half of historic norms. China.
China.
Dumped 500 billion in treasuries since 2015. And the dollar's share of global reserves is sliding like this.
And over a longer time horizon, how concerned are you about the potential impact of the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency?
This is worse than 1971 when Nixon rugged the gold standard. Except this time, there's no parachute, just a hard landing. Or a hard asset.
We think there's a good chance that central banks and sovereign wealth funds will start to get more aggressive in adopting Bitcoin, not only as a store of value, but also as a medium of exchange. So this year, the Czech Republic, the governor of the central bank there, has initiated a study to analyze Bitcoin for inclusion in their central bank reserves. And then just this week, Russia did a trade with China, partially denominated in Bitcoin, beginning to really use Bitcoin for the first time as a medium of exchange. And that's not for individuals buying coffee, that's for large-scale transactions where countries are using Bitcoin as an intermediary currency to do, say, an oil trade. And in that scenario where Bitcoin-denominated trade could be, say, 5% of global trade, we get to a $3 million price per Bitcoin. That's a long-term prediction, like 2050, but that's going to be necessary, we think, to elevate Bitcoin into the millions per coin.
There it is, straight from the mouth of a Wall Street titan. Vanek just said Bitcoin could settle 5% of all global trade, and it's already in motion. Russia's settling energy deals in Bitcoin. India is cutting side deals in rupees, but rumors say that there are satoshis in the mix. Argentina paying for imports using stablecoins and Bitcoin. The UAE and BRICS, they're mining Bitcoin with government subsidies. They call it Petro BTC. I call it endgame.
And this is why Bitcoin will decouple, because Bitcoin isn't priced on earnings. And if countries are looking for something to own, you're going to want scarce reserve assets. Long gold, long Bitcoin. Easy, easy. So people don't understand what we're living through. And I'm looking on the internet and everyone's freaking out. And my message to my audience and to the Bitcoiners is just relax. You got to breathe, calm down. Understand what you own. Understand what we're living through right now. Let the stock market puke and figure itself out. And by the way, is it over? No. What are we living through right now? We're trying. Yeah, I'm literally on Wall Street having meetings with Wall Street people. This city is full of a bunch of over-levered, pompous hedge fund assholes. These guys, I mean, the stock market's down like 4%. These guys are begging and pleading and screaming for a bailout. Give me a break. Everyone wants a relief rally. We're now at the phase where everyone's like, oh, you hear that? Oh my God, Trump said that he's open to negotiations. Trump said he might walk back what he said. And no one's actually pricing in the fact that Trump means business. Whether you like it or not, Trump wants to help the poor American. Trump wants to create factory jobs. Trump wants to produce stuff here. Trump wants to fix the deficit problem. That's until I see otherwise, Trump is about business. Trump is keeping his promises. Whether you like it or not, this is not a political podcast. I'm just calling it how I see it. And you've got a bunch of over-levered people here in New York that are just losing their mind. Listen, it is what it is. And this is so bullish for Bitcoin. They're going to have to print so much money. Bitcoin is really priced with how much fiat currency is sloshing around in the world. And in order for all of this to play out and work, we have to debase our currency. We have to devalue our debt, and we have to create more fiat. It's going to send Bitcoin nuclear.
And just like Vanek said, Bitcoin is a neutral trade rail in a fractured world, and everyone needs it. In a world full of broken promises, capital controls, and weaponized dollars, Bitcoin is the neutral zone. It's like Switzerland, but digital.
Because if, in fact, you can't crack that at all, government can't get in, then everybody's walking around with a Swiss bank account in their pocket. All right?
No inflation, no censorship, and no central bank clownery. The future is not dollar settlement. It's Bitcoin finality. And the monetary demons hate it.
And then one more area that I hope nation states start paying greater attention to is the rise of cryptocurrency. Because what looks like a very interesting and somewhat exotic effort to literally mine new coins in order to trade with them has the potential for undermining currencies, for undermining the role of the dollar as the reserve currency, for destabilizing nations, perhaps starting with small ones, but going much larger. So when we think about this new environment in which we find ourselves that we've been discussing for the last some minutes, we can't just think about nation states.
Hey, before we get to the ultimate central bank rug pull, look at our likes.
3 or 4 times, maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pamp while we take a moment to shout out our sponsors powering this show. The Bitcoin Way. They will help you on your Bitcoin journey from start to finish. How to take self-custody and protect your generational wealth. Self-custody is the revolution. And the Bitcoin Way teaches you how to run a node, what wallet and signing device is best for you, and how to reclaim your privacy and Fourth Amendment rights in the digital realm. Head on over to the Bitcoin Way today and begin your journey toward Bitcoin sovereignty. And if you're looking to get started, you can schedule a free 30-minute consultation using that link in the show notes. Are you sick of trying to tell normies that we're in the midst of a currency war and Bitcoin is the escape hatch? And then they just ask if you caught Survivor this week? Not anymore! With the Orange Pill app, you can stack friends who stack sats. It's the ultimate hub to connect with fellow Bitcoiners, find meetups, and discover every Bitcoin conference happening near you and across the country. And just in, the Orange Pill app Lightning Wallet is live. Send and receive Bitcoin at the speed of lightning, no setup, no limits, just pure sats and freedom. Bitcoin is better with friends, and now you can zap them instantly all in one app. What are you waiting for? Download the Orange Pill app today and zap your friends and favorite Bitcoiners and Bitcoin companies, and who knows? Those connections you make could last a lifetime. Big finish time. Meanwhile, in the East, China is going full Pharaoh mode, stacking more gold than Schmaug. Now up to 2,292 tons, officially. Unofficially, who knows? Probably a lot more. CCP math is, needless to say, creative. But here's the signal. They're selling Bitcoin, apparently. You heard me. China's sitting on seized Bitcoin, and they're liquidating it, according to Reuters. That's right. While the U.S. is debating a strategic Bitcoin reserve, China is dumping theirs. This is a once-in-a-century monetary opportunity, and Beijing is trying to win with shiny rocks. Now here's where it gets interesting. Senators and the Trump administration want to acquire 1 million Bitcoin for the U.S. Treasury. How are they going to do that? By flipping the gold. That's right, America's sitting on 8,133 tons of gold, allegedly. What if we sold a few bars and bought Bitcoin instead? That's the ultimate 4D chess move. China rug pulled themselves with silver when the world adopted the gold standard. And now, we rug pull them again.
Of it. And I didn't get to ask it, but I'm going to ask you now. You've mentioned, and I'm sure you've had this question before, budget neutral ways to potentially buy Bitcoin down the line. Can you give me an example of a budget-neutral way you may be thinking of?
I mean, there's a lot of high IQ people working on this, and I will give you an example. But I say that only to say that there's been countless ideas over the course of the last week or so, and in a sense of how we can actually accomplish this. I'll actually point you to Senator Lummis's Bitcoin Act of 2025, in which she believes that we can identify the real true value of some of these gold certificates that are, basically, I think, it's like $172 an ounce is what they're categorized at right now. And if we actually realize the gains on that, that would be a budget neutral way to acquire more Bitcoin. I mean, there's countless different ways you can do it. I know the Secretary of Treasury, Bessent, and the Secretary of Commerce with Howard Lutnick. I mean, they're going to come up with, these are smart people that understand this space really well. And as we convene as a working group, we'll flesh out the best ideas and we'll enact those ideas.
Gold. Theoretically, could you sell some of the gold in Fort Knox to buy Bitcoin? Can we? Is that possible?
Well, if it's budget neutral and doesn't cost the taxpayer a dime.
You're kind of exchanging one for the other.
We'll see whatever creative ideas that we can come up with. And, like I said, with all the interagency working group actors that will convene in these meetings, we're going to hear some tremendous ideas about how we could do it. I just don't want to box us in yet to what that actually looks like, because I want to be able to hear from everybody. And I think that's one thing that's different about this White House is we welcome in new ideas, innovative solutions, and it's no different the way that we're running our office.
So the very simple idea is buy 20 or 25% of the Bitcoin network on behalf of the U.S. government, catalyze the development of that world reserve capital network, and then let all the Chinese and the Russians and the foreigners sell all their other assets and buy Bitcoin, and then the money flows into the United States. If you want to put a great twist on it, dump your gold, sell all the U.S. gold, buy Bitcoin, then the trade is free because you could buy 5 million Bitcoin for the cost of the gold. You will demonetize the entire gold asset class, and our enemies hold gold in their banks, so their assets would go to zero. Our assets would go to $100 trillion, and we would control the world's reserve capital network as well as the world's reserve currency network.
It is not just theory. The Trump team is literally talking about making America a Bitcoin superpower.
Together we will make America the undisputed Bitcoin superpower and the crypto capital of the world.
They even created a presidential council on digital assets. This isn't fringe anymore. It's monetary warfare. And Bitcoin, well, that's the Manhattan Project. And they're just waiting for the perfect opportunity to drop it.
The world is beginning to understand that Bitcoin is really going to be the world reserve currency. And you see what's happening in the United States, Mike. President Trump has announced he wants to create a Bitcoin strategic reserve. They want to buy 1 million Bitcoin. That would be very interesting. I think it's highly problematic for them because of the incredible debt load that the United States carries, roughly $100 trillion in debt and unfunded liability. So that's a huge obstacle for them. But you see where these countries are going. They all have a position on Bitcoin. Germany sold their Bitcoin and they're suffering as a result of it. The United Kingdom is not Bitcoin friendly. They're suffering as a result of it. El Salvador is Bitcoin friendly and we are booming. So really the 21st century is defined by those who are getting in line with the Bitcoin protocol and what it means and what it can do for your country, and those countries that are falling by the wayside.
So here's the map. The dollar is cracking, gold is too slow, Bitcoin is permissionless, borderless, and winning on settlement finality. BRICS is testing Bitcoin, institutions are buying Bitcoin, retail is waking up to Bitcoin. The final domino, the US flipping its gold into Bitcoin and triggering the greatest short squeeze in monetary history.
If the United States announces that we are buying 1 million Bitcoin, that's just a global seismic shock. Right? I think that really is a big deal. I think first the Bitcoin price goes through the roof, right? I think we probably go very quickly to something like $1 million per Bitcoin. And then you have to wait and see what are the sort of dominoes to fall from that, right? What are the second order effects of Bitcoin just being monetized on a faster trajectory than I think a lot of people anticipate? The first is sort of other nation states' reactions. So other nation states will see sort of, you can't be left behind. I suspect that Bitcoin being monetized that strongly and that quickly would have a negative impact on sort of the long-term outlook for gold.
Imagine that chart. China hoards gold, US buys Bitcoin, price hits 1 million, game, set, and match. You still trusting fiat? Still stacking gold? You're playing checkers on a 4D chessboard. Real players are moving to Bitcoin, and they're getting tickets to Bitcoin 2025. The biggest Bitcoin event of the year is headed to Las Vegas, May 27th through the 29th. The Bitcoin conference is taking over the Venetian, and the Simply Bitcoin team will be on site. We hope to see you there, so be sure to get those tickets and use promo code SIMPLY for 10% off. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pamp by sending this video to someone who still thinks Jerome Powell has a plan. And remember, in a world full of counterfeit cash and rigged systems, Bitcoin is your life raft. Don't wait to get rugged like the CCP. Opt out, stack sats, and what did Mahler say?
Close your laptop. The sun's warm somewhere. Find a beach.
That's right. Live, laugh, love, touch grass, find a beach, and maximize yourself. Love you guys. Catch you all tomorrow. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, fuck you.